How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. LeBron James set to wear number 6 again in his 4th season with the Lakers, heading into his 19th year. The last time he wore number 6 with the Miami Heat from 2010 to 2014. During those times, he's made 4 finals, 2 finals MVPs, 2 regular seasons MVPs, and arguably the most complete version of himself, his two-way prime, insane efficiency with the Heat. Some seasons he was shooting 56-57% from the field, at times didn't miss at all. Unlike any specimen we ever seen, it's crazy to believe 7 seasons passed by since LeBron was in South Beach playing alongside D Wade as he returns to number 6. Today, we're going to take a look at LeBron's 5 best playoff series wearing number 6 with the Miami Heat. Number 5, 2013 Finals versus San Antonio. Statistically, this was nowhere near James's most impressive numbers in efficiency. He had better stats against weaker opponents in the first round, but of course, I can't put those matchups over this one since San Antonio, an elite team. James went on to average 25.3 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 2.3 steals, just 45% shooting. San Antonio also elite defensively with second-year Kawhi and defensive first-teamer legendary Tim Duncan, so James not shooting above 50% for the series, kind of expected. Everyone knew this was not Milwaukee in round 1, where the MVP shot 63% from the floor. Game 1 a tough loss due to Tony Parker's clutch jumper. James had 18 points, 18 boards, 10 dimes. Chris Bosh just not big and strong enough against the older Tim Duncan. Haslam no longer his former self. Birdman and Joel Anthony, the other Heat bigs, no match for San Antonio. Game 2, James didn't have to put up big numbers, 17, 8, and 7, but 3 steals and 3 blocks, including 1 nasty rejection on Thiago Splitter. That moment pretty much wrapped up the game right there in the 2 losses to San Antonio. James's forgettable performances, 15 points, 7 of 21 game 3, a game 5 effort of 25 on 8 of 22, while the 4th game a much needed win for Miami, 33 on 15 of 25 shooting. Wade poured in 32, both unguardable. Game was tied at halftime, but the Heat put the pedal to the metal. Bosh chipped in 20 and 13 as well. Impressive win while down 3-2 back in South Beach. James struggled much of the first half of Game 6, but led a comeback, down 10 heading into the 4th. Everybody remembered his missed 3, followed by the Bosh rebound leading to Ray Allen's 3. But James's stat line of 32, 10, 11, 3 steals and a block did everything he could to keep his team in position. Wade was the one who struggled most of the game, had just 14 points on a bad knee. Danny Green an off night, 1 of 7 from deep, thanks to a couple of San Antonio screw-ups, missed free throws, and Pop not playing Tim Duncan. The final few possessions on defense went to haunt San Antonio. A slugfest while James solidified his historic season, proving he had all the tools in the hardwood, arguably the most complete version of himself, confident on his outside shooting. San Antonio dared him to shoot, and he made them pay for it in Game 7, his best game of the series. 5 of 10 from deep, 8 of 8 from the line, an underrated stat line of 37 big points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. Spurs, the way older team, had no legs left in the 4th. Score was 90-88 Miami the last 2 minutes. The only basket made since James hitting the dagger jumper with 28 ticks left sealed the deal. San Antonio melted under pressure, expended all their energy in Game 6. Although there were struggles and moments throughout the series, James didn't look like his unstoppable self at times, which was why his shooting numbers weren't the best, but persevered in earning his 2nd title from being down 3-2. Number 4, 2012 Finals versus OKC. His 3rd Finals appearance, there was no doubt James was going to bounce back and play at his highest level after falling to Dallas the previous year. The much anticipated matchup with 23-year-old Kevin Durant, number 1 and number 2 in the MVP race, 2 guys who was going to dominate the league for many years. Many truly believe OKC had a shot in winning the series. After winning 4 straight against red hot San Antonio out of nowhere, the star powers matched. While the Thunder had home court, James showed up the first game, 30 points, 9 rebounds, but it was Durant's night who got the better of James, 36 points on 12 of 20 shooting. The younger and faster team, while James and KD went at it in Game 2, both dropped 32. Role player Shane Battier went 5 of 7 from deep. James continued to torch Defensive Player of the Year candidate Serge Ibaka inside, hit the banker over Cephalosha at the final minute 30. 2 clutch free throws to make it 2 possession, sealing the victory, evening the series. James maintained his composure despite a furious OKC rally, continued his excellence, James, a game-high 29 points the third game, 14 rebounds, out-muscle and out-hustle the front lines of Ibaka and Perkins, super quick reacting to loose balls, wasn't considered an elite outside shooter at the time, but a master at finishing at the rim. OKC up 10 with 4:30 left in the third. Miami erased that deficit in a blink of an eye thanks to James's aggressiveness, drained an outside jumper to take the lead before the fourth, literally unstoppable in transition, closed out with a statement. It didn't matter who was protecting the paint for the Thunder. While the fourth game, James had a near triple-double of 26, 9, and 12, Wade and Chalmers 25 each, overcoming Durant's 28 and Westbrook's 43. Mario's most memorable game in the Miami Heat uniform. James was in and out of the game the final 5 minutes with cramps, but knocked down a key three. Westbrook committed a dumb foul on Chalmers late in the game. OKC's inexperience in the biggest stage cost them after Miami took a commanding 3-1 lead. James made sure his team would close out at home, clinch Game 5 with a 26-point, 11-rebound, 13-assist triple-double. Unsung hero Mike Miller stepped up, went 7 of 8 from downtown. The game was blew wide open in the third. Westbrook shot an awful 4 of 20. It was James's finals to shine. The first time he hoisted the Larry O'Brien trophy, averaged 28.6 points, 10.2 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 1.6 steals on 47% shooting. Battier 11.6 points, Chalmers over 10 a game, although Durant played amazing in his own right, averaged 30.6 points, 6 rebounds on 55% from the field. Westbrook shot the ball 16 times more than KD and more than anybody else in this series. A 5-game series win for Miami, pretty surprising since many thought this would go 6 or 7, a well-deserved title for the Heat. Number 3, 2013 vs. the 49-win Pacers Conference Finals. Many obviously picked the Heat to win the series and didn't expect it to go 7, but prime 7-2 Roy Hibbert gave Miami nightmares since they didn't have a real center to guard him, and Bosh already had to deal with the physical David West. It was going to be a grinded out series. Game 1 a classic. 23-year-old Paul George became one of the fastest rising stars, went toe-to-toe with LeBron at times, and played with tons of confidence, something he's been lacking in future postseasons. PG dropped 27, Hibbert 19, David West 26. This Pacers team had a solid starting 5, while the Heat relied on the star power of mostly James, Wade, and Bosh. A 30-point, 10-rebound, 10-assist triple-double for LBJ. Miami could have finished the game earlier, but PG kept Indy alive, just like Popovich made the mistake of leaving Duncan out of Game 6. On D, Frank Vogel made the awful decision, leaving Roy Hibbert out in the final few defensive possessions, resulting in an uncontested James layup on George Hill. Since the 7-2 big considered a liability out the 3-point line, Vogel was afraid LeBron would find Bosh out the perimeter for an easy jumper, but when you're playing against prime LeBron James, arguably the best driver the game has ever seen, you need a defensive presence inside, and to James's excellence, so an open lane to the basket with the game-winning layup on Paul George to seal Game 1. One dribble to the basket, he's gone. That's how explosive prime LeBron was. James also went off in Game 2 with 36 points on 14 of 20 shooting, but Hibbert dominated with 29 due to Miami's lack of size. Indy tied the series, but Miami an 18-point blowout Game 3. James only needed 22. Indy won Game 4, leading to a pivotal Game 5. James responded and carried for Wade's struggles. Wade just 10 points, Bosh 7, Haslam balled out with 16, James 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, outshined PG's 27, 11, and 5. Indy actually had a 4-point lead at the half, but Miami outscored the Pacers 30-13 in the third. James and Haslam was the reason. A solid 26 in the 6th game, but George's 28 and Hibbert's 24 evened the series. In a decisive Game 7, Miami's first real test to repeating, James made sure who was best. Did a little bit of everything from put-back dunks, alley-oops, and transition, scored without the ball, blew the game wide open in the second period. He had a 15-point halftime lead. Game was already out of reach for Indy. George held to 2 of 9 shooting, 7 points. LeBron 32 and 8 for the series, averaged 29 a game, 7.3 rebounds, 5.3 assists, a steal and a half, and a block and a half. 51% shooting, 44 from 3. While Hibbert averaged 22 and 10, George 19 and a half points, West over 16 a game, Hill 13. Wade, the second leading scorer for Miami, averaged just over 15, only the 5th leading scorer this series. With Flash having trouble knees, Bosh's ankles banked up most of the postseason, James James carried Miami a lot in every way, especially in a series when Miami was getting dominated by the 7-2 Hibbert. Number 2, 2012 versus Indiana semis. In quest for his first title, not many people talked about how great the duo of James and Wade was this series. This Pacers team very similar to the 2013 squad, but still had Danny Granger before his big injuries. Paul George in year 2 averaged a dozen points as a role player. Roy Hibbert, the lone all-star for Indy. Chris Bosh suffered in the domino strain in game 1 versus Indy after a dunk in the first half, resulting him to miss the remainder of the series. Miami, led by James, dominated with 23, 15, and 5. Wade 29 of his own en route to a 95-86 win. Without a true third option, Spoelstra started Ronnie Turiaf and Haslam at the same time. James 28 came up short. Game 2, 78-75. Game 3 was a blowout loss, led by Hibbert's 19 and 18, did whatever he wanted in the paint. George Hill's 20. D-Wade was an absolute travesty. 5 points on 2 of 13 shooting. James 22 fell 94-75. It appeared Miami's title hopes were against the ropes. Challenge early. Game 4, one of the best masterpieces all time. Indy came out hot 25-18 after 1, but James, one of his better games, 40 points, 18 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, combined with Wade's 39 and 6, helped propel the Heat to a 101-93 win. James validated everything, never panicked. Wade stepped up when needed. Haslam added 14. With a band-aid on that needed 9 stitches, after Indy built a 10-point lead in the third, the excellence of LeBron and Wade scored 39 consecutive points one stretch, netted 28 of Miami's 30 in the third. At times, it was 2-on-5. The firepower just too much for a more balanced Indiana team turned the momentum of the series around. James a plus 28 the 5th game, 30 points, 10 rebounds, 8 dimes, 12 of 19 shooting. Wade 28 of his own, 10 of 17, outscored the entire Pacers starters combined. Nobody in Indy scored more than 11, resulting in a 115-83 blowout win. Pacers fought for their playoff lives. The high-powered partnership of the two stars showed up once again. In Bosh's absence, James 28, Wade's 41 in the closer. The 3 wins when the Heat were down 2-1. James scored a combined 98 points, 34 rebounds, 24 assists. Wade 99 points, 22 boards, 11 dimes. Rallied from an 11-point deficit in Game 6. Wade had 26 by the break. James scored 3 straight possessions late 4th quarter to seal it. Arguably the best stretch the duo played with the Heat together. Insanely impressive effort for the series. James averaged 30 points, 11 rebounds, over 6 assists, nearly 3 steals on over 50% shooting. Wade 26, 5.5 boards, 1.3 blocks on 47% shooting. Chalmers averaged 11. No other Heat put up above 6 a game. No Pacers put up more than 15. The confidence of the duo will lead to the following series, which leads us to number 1, 2012 Eastern Conference Finals against Boston. Not only is this Bron's best playoff series with the Heat, but right up there with the 2016 Warriors. Boston had one last shot at contending before breaking down, so they were gonna go hard. Even with Bosh's absence, the lineup of Chalmers, Wade, Battier, James, and Turiaf versus Rondo, Allen, Pierce, Brandon Bass, and KG. Game 1, James dominated, 32 and 13 on 13 of 22 from the field, an easy 14-point win. Game 2 was the Rondo show, 44-point outburst. James shot his worst, making just 7 of 20 shots, but still scored 34, going 18 of 24 from the line. A no-call Wade made contact with Rondo also could have been the difference maker in the game. After surviving an OT, the Heat would drop the next 2, but James did his part, showed up with 34 and 8 in Game 3. Nobody could stop the 36-year-old KG down low, who had 24 and 11, still balling. James showed up again in Game 4, 29 points, leading scorer, also nailed the game-tying 3 with 38 ticks left. Game 1 to OT. James, however, fouled out in the 151 mark after regulation. First time he ever fouled out in a postseason game. Series tied at 2. Bosh returned off the bench for Game 5. James balled out again, 30 points, 13 rebounds. Garnett continued to school the smaller Heat lineup with 26 and 11. Paul Pierce nailed a clutch 3 over the defense on LeBron, talked his trash. People then began to question the Heat's big 3 chances if they were ever going to win. With only a day's rest, the most important game of LeBron LeBron's career changed his image and legacy forever. Nothing will ever be doubted about prime LeBron ever again. With the series on the line, absolutely delivered the most critical way. As amazing as some of his performance been over the years with Cleveland, Game 6 on June 7, 2012, in my opinion, still LeBron's best playoff game. Combined with the pressure, being on the road, elimination, Miami needed to win at all costs. James went out and absolutely destroyed, abused, annihilated, and humiliated Boston in every way imaginable from the get-go. Imposed his will, a complete masterpiece. Looking back at prime LeBron, this game stood out more so than others. First player since Will to account for at least 45 points, 15 boards, 5 assists in a postseason game. No chance he was gonna let another season end in a loss at Boston, in the building where Miami lost 15 of his previous 16 meetings, counting regular season in the Garnett era. As perfect a player who you could rate 100 out of 100, prime James had 30 points by halftime, a 13-point lead, made sure Miami was in control the whole game, set the tone, made 6 of his first 7 shots, scored 14 in the first. After another great and Paul Pierce drained the shot over him in Game 5 like that, many stars would have been defeated and lost confidence. But James's confidence level at the highest absolute possible, made 12 of his first 13 shots, made sure Boston never even came close, going 19 of 26 from the field, 73% shooting. The only thing off about LeBron this game, going 5 of 9 from the line, but that didn't matter. The classic stare down game. If Miami was to lose, Pat Riley might have broken things up. The most crucial game he's ever played in a Heat uniform, James delivered in a big way, which leads us to Game 7. James, once again the best player on the floor, scored a game high 31 points, played all but 29 seconds in the game. Wade 23, Bosh finally came alive after his injury, 19 big points on 8 of 10 shooting from the field. Miami needed CB in every way. Boston melted in the fourth quarter. When things were tied heading into the final period, the Heat had fresher legs for the series. James averaged an insane 33.6 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, over a steal and a block on 53% from the field. Wade 21.5 points, Rondo 21, 11 dimes, Garnett over 19 and 9, Pierce 18. Bosh only played 3 games. If LeBron would have shot 90% from the series instead of 65, would have averaged 36.4 points. The Heat put up 97 for the series. The NBA's slower pace back then, not as high scoring, insanely impressive. Ever since Game 6 of this series, James has literally never disappointed in a big postseason matchup and always balls out, always reliable and dependable, puts up monster numbers even in his losses in the biggest stage. By far his best game, wearing number 6. Honorable mentions includes 2014 first round versus Charlotte and 2014 semis versus Brooklyn, where James shot an insane 56 and 57% from the floor those series. The first round series was a cakewalk to begin with. It wasn't surprising Miami was gonna sweep Charlotte, while James had a 49-point performance in Game 4 versus Brooklyn on 16 of 24 from the field, gave Pierce flashbacks of 2012. Miami James was a special kind of player who did everything offensively and defensively. Didn't need to have the high assist numbers since the NBA wasn't as one-man offensive dominant like 2021. Triple doubles were a rarity back then. Thank you so much for watching this video. What's your favorite memory of LeBron James wearing number 6 or in a Miami Heat uniform? What do you think he's got left in the table for year 19? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe for more content, more good stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.